sightings of ghosts, an abandoned insane asylum, creepy ass dolls, werewolves, and witches, honey. Do not obey. Stay woke. Nobody's gonna stop me. This is real. Do not obey. Stay woke. Scary as hell.
Go to your library and find, it's the Arizona Gazette is April 5th, 1909, and the Phoenix Gazette is just about the same time. I don't have, oh, it's April 5th, 1909. So if you want to go in there and check it out yourself, it should be there unless it's been pulled.
We're going to shift gears, but before we do, I'm going to leave a connecting link to this. You can't right now. You cannot go on that property surrounding that area. It is closed off, and it's government property and no admittance. You can't get on there without the government's knowledge of it. So it's closed off.
Even park rangers can't.
Well, I don't even know if the park rangers can go in and out, but it's closed off to the public, which I think is a sad thing. But in what you were saying about Egyptians, and Cremo was talking about how the only indigenous people were supposed to be the indigenous people that came from the Bering Straits and walked all the way down and spent all this period of time. Think about the Egyptians for a moment. Their dynasty lasted, what, 26,000 years? I mean, it lasted...
Well, according to they have records, there are three stages, the time of the gods, the demigods, and then the pharaonic series of earthly kings.
But certainly longer than our known, our 2,000 years since Christ, as we would know the New Age, or the length of time that we have. And to think that the earth hasn't changed, or a society that had spent 10,000 years together, couldn't sail the earth, couldn't do any of this, is a little ridiculous in itself. But to tie that back in, you said that there were mummies inside this, and I read it also.
There were mummies inside the cavern, lots of them.
Now I'm going to do the transition over into Peru and into the Mayans, when there's actual evidence of mummification using the same grass, and you can check this up yourself, the same grass and the same type of herbs used in mummification that the Egyptians used in the Mayan civilization during that period of time. So there seems to be a connection with the mummification there, with the mummification in the Mayan and in the Peruvian. As we step into Peru, we want to tie this ancient people together?
Well, there do seem to be connections. The Mayans would have been in Central America and in the southern part of Mexico. Most of the interesting mummification that we see comes from South America, in Peru, and some of the oldest mummification at a place called the Atacama Desert in Chile, where I remember seeing the report that they were at least 7,000 years old. Childress mentions in his video 11,000. I seem to remember 7, but even so, that's quite old and more sophisticated than the Egyptian mummification process. So it's you have to question where this came from. It obviously didn't travel over the Bering Strait. It came from somewhere else. Now, there may have been some people trying to come over the Bering Strait. I know that in the Eskimo legends, they believe that they were brought there by a great metal bird. That is in their tradition. Now, whether this has to do with extraterrestrials, I don't know. It could well be that we're talking about an airlift after a cataclysm. In Egypt, we have this recent discovery at Abydos of this wall that crumbled away, revealing what looked like a helicopter, a Cobra helicopter, almost perfect in its lines, with what could be called a Sikorsky undercarriage for lifting heavy objects. And aerial vehicles etched into this as well.
Isn't this in the Temple of Karnak?
I believe it was Abydos, but part of the old younger wall had broken away. Von Daniken's people, in fact, had discovered this, and it's been photographed. You can find it on the internet.
I believe there's something that looks like a submarine involved in this.
It's
If you look
that's
at
a
it,
confusing
it's
sort
pretty,
of object. One of them is, but there's seemingly no doubt about the helicopter.
There's no
Yeah,
doubt
yeah.
about that.
The helicopter.
And it seems to me that either this is a prediction of the future, or it's possible that societies that have similar needs, no matter what age they are, achieve similar types of technology to fulfill those needs. Maybe that's what's going on here.
Over timelines. Being able to
Yeah.
adjust and going in through different timelines and maintaining. Who knows what they knew back then? We certainly don't know. But there's another answer to this crossing over, if you will. If you had an indigenous group of people all living on a basic landmass, and the landmass shifted and moved and separated, as you can see Africa, and you can slide it right in, into South America, and see how that positioning worked. That takes us, and you brought up
It's a long period of time. If you're going by Wagner's theory of continental drift, we're talking about inches to the year. But when you talk about something like crustal displacement, as Graham Hancock has suggested, and Rand and Rose Flemath, we're talking about the entire crust of the Earth moving in one piece,
one shot.
like the rind of an orange revolving over the interior. The continents separating and moving in different directions, that would take a longer process. But to have an ice age, let's say, we could. It looks as if North America was at the North Pole and shifted down about 20 degrees or about 2,000 miles, and Antarctica ending up in its present position at the southern pole. And that is what would happen in a crustal displacement during an axial shift. Richard Hoagland has talked about this recently. You'd have the entire axis of the Earth flipping, the entire planet flipping over. And I don't think that a mere accumulation of ice at the poles would be able to achieve that. You would have to have some really serious catastrophe, like the entry of a planetoid into our solar system. We have ample evidence off of Yucatan and the Gulf of St. Lawrence that our planet has been hit in the distant past. And it would probably be enough to flip the Earth on its axis. And when we realize this, we refer back to some of these old maps, such as the map of Piri Reis, and one that most comes to mind is one drawn by Athanasius Kircher in the 1600s. He was a monk, and it shows the continents upside down. North America appears on the right, the Old World appears on the left, Atlantis, he calls it Atlantis, appears in the center, but the writing is, where you can read it, but everything else is upside down. We remember a time in legend where the sun rose where it now sets. Perhaps there was a time when this is the way the world looked, and Hyperborea was in a different position, which I suspect may be Antarctica.
And there you have it. Antarctica pops up again. Hence why I'm totally, probably now, basically, you should say, obsessed with Antarctica. Like, literally. That is where everything is. I think that's where all the last of the secrets lie. I think that's the exit. The big door. Let's get back to the video.
Beneath the Grand Canyon lies a closely guarded secret that high-ranking officials are determined to keep hidden. During the 1850s, gold mining operations within the Grand Canyon uncovered such an enormous quantity of gold that its value plummeted dramatically. Consequently, the area was sealed off and designated as a protected sanctuary to thwart any further exploitation of its resources. In the midst of this secrecy, explorer Seth Tanner reported discovering ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs etched into the walls of a cave within the canyon. Tanner proposed that the Grand Canyon might conceal the fabled city of El Dorado, a legendary metropolis of gold that has eluded discovery for centuries. According to his theory, El Dorado is buried deep within the canyon's network of caves. It is speculated that authorities might be suppressing this information to prevent further destabilization of gold prices. Despite this, recent years have seen a resurgence of interest, with proponents of Tanner's theory actively investigating the Grand Canyon in hopes of uncovering the elusive truth.
Grand risings, elders, gods, and goddesses, and in-betweens. But I also received a few inboxes, and one of the inboxes that I received, she was asking me, who am I? And there's nothing more that I want to do than, you know, reveal myself and tell y'all who I am, but I'm not permitted to at the moment. In due time though. But I will give y'all a little food for thought though. So if you know anything about the Anunnakis, you know about the characters Enlil, Enki, Anu, Inanna, you know what I'm saying, Murdoch, you know what I mean, just a few, to name a few or whatnot. You know the story a little bit. So I'm gonna tell y'all how the Grand Canyon was really created. When the Anunnaki came here, before they went to war with each other, they had these weapons. They brought these weapons that they call weapons of destruction, and they were prohibited from using those weapons unless really needed, right? So when they got here, Enki and a few of his comrades hid the weapons of destruction from everyone so that no one could get to them and use them. When they went to war with one another, Enlil found the weapons of destruction and unleashed one of them. And that is how the Grand Canyon was created. It was not a fucking meteor that created the Grand Canyon. It was a weapon of destruction unleashed by Enlil. Just a little food for thought.
This is what they don't tell you. The Grand Canyon isn't just a natural wonder. It holds the secrets of an ancient, advanced civilization. But that's not even the craziest thing that was recently discovered. In a 1909 newspaper article, there were claims of an incredible find saying, an explorer discovered a hidden cave filled with Egyptian artifacts. The Grand Canyon has been studied for centuries, so what's really hidden within it? This is where things get scary. In the article, explorer G.E. Kincaid allegedly found a cave containing statues, tools, and hieroglyphs that resembled those of ancient Egypt. But here's the twist. Some scientists believe it wasn't even the ancient Egyptians, but an ancient advanced civilization called the Anunnaki. It's believed it was actually the Anunnaki who built the pyramids in ancient Egypt, and they also built pyramids and giant structures in part of North and South America. But once they left our planet, they took everything with them, leaving us with giant architecture all around the world.
The history that we were all taught growing up is wrong. My name is Scott Wolter, and I'm a forensic geologist. There's a hidden history in this country that nobody knows about. There are pyramids here, chambers, tombs, inscriptions. They're all over this country. We're going to investigate these artifacts and sites, and we're going to get to the truth. Sometimes history isn't what we've been told.
Listen, I don't know if it's just me. I see all kind of faces. I see omelets. I see faces, statues from the bottom all the way to the top. Just in the Grand Canyon.
Check these out. 1,000-year-old granaries perched up on this big band of limestone. So we're going to get to that in a second. But first, I want to show you guys what's down here and talk about some of the archaeological excavations that they did here in the 1960s. Because without really realizing it, we've just walked into basically the heart of, a thriving little civilization that was... Let me jump in here and zoom out to try and give you a bigger picture of what we're about to explore. We've already established the Grand Canyon has seen human habitation for thousands of years. Truthfully, we know relatively little about the ancient peoples here. The best estimate I could find was that only 5% of archaeological sites in the canyon have been professionally surveyed. The amount that have been excavated would be even less. That statistic alone shows how much more we may discover in the coming years.
Now what the hell going on here, America? We done found the doorway inside the Grand Canyon. Let's go in.
At least maybe we can solve one mystery of the Grand Canyon. So let's go.
Before setting out, I wondered how I would get there. The terrain looked steep and likely inaccessible. Consulting a map, I plotted a route that would allow me to hike to a vantage point directly across from the entrance. From there, I planned to use binoculars to get a closer look. I live pretty close to the Grand Canyon. Here at the guard station to the North Rim entrance station. Can't wait, I'm getting closer, so we're gonna see what all this weird stuff is. Is it aliens? Is it some portal to the universe? I don't know. We're gonna find out soon.
Well, America, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Stumbled across this massive cliff overlooking Monument Valley. It was when I started looking for campsites on the edge of this cliff that I noticed something odd. The cliffside was not a straight line, as you would expect. It looked more like a giant zigzag.
Look at that.
And then I zoomed in, and suddenly...
what's going on here?
It's composed of hundreds, maybe even thousands, of massive, geometrically perfect cubes and rectangles. Interest. It got me thinking. Is it possible for a perfect cube to exist in nature?
Well, I guess it is, but not hundreds of them.
What would it look like when one of these comes crashing down?
Oh my gosh.
What else is there to find here?
Look at that. These are perfect square-shaped rocks. There's a moment where he ventures and starts walking among them, and he actually comes across some hieroglyphs, or at least, here you go, I think this is it. Look at that.
You can see there's several humanoid drawings.
What's going on?
Here, one right here, and right there.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing is that they're located right on the edge of this amazing view.
Wow, that's an amazing view indeed. Now, let me just check this out. That is a square rock. I mean, that's perfect. Look at that. What the heck? Look at that. That's just crazy. Is that just a coincidence in nature? Or did something actually happen in the past? I mean, by looking at it, it's as if someone or something was carving these rocks and using this place as a quarry of some sort.
Here's another wall. Some big foundation blocks. And then it just abruptly ends right here into that. Just the abyss. Now, was there at one point in time a wall that continued over there and it's just like fallen into the canyon? I have no idea. Oh my gosh, guys. Take a look at what I just found out here. Let's see. You see that? It looks like a little granary. Could guess. Is it hundreds of years that they would fall back to at, like a desperate time? They're down on that ledge. I need to drop down this gully, which it's not, I don't know, let's take a look at it. It's very loose. That's the main thing that I see about it. It's like right under this ledge here. Take a look here, guys. This is insane. Check out this construction. So we've got the mortar sort of chinking these rocks here. At one point in time, this door, it would have been sealed. Maybe that's what this is all broken up. I don't know. It looks empty. But that's, I mean, what you see is the back there. Oh my word. So I was just saying, I was like, oh, what you see is the back there. And then my eyes adjusted and I'm like, holy crap. That's not the back. There's another. It's like a second granary behind there. Oh my. But one thing I can do is put my 360-degree camera in there that's on a selfie stick. Let's see if that'll work and show something unique in there.